Hey, Sandra, y'all. Welcome to Scotch on the Bayou. It is another Tuesday. Can you imagine? We were just here 7 days ago. And glad that everybody is back. And I hope you had a good week last week. And this one is starting off well. I'm pretty stoked about tonight. So it's always fun when you can get together with your whiskey peeps. Considering that we are, like literally I'm in the middle south and she's far west north. It's really pretty cool to be able to do that, right? To get together with your folks and talk about something that you really do enjoy. And that's going to be whiskey and travel tonight. So we'll get into that a bit. I want to say hey and see who all is in. Hi, Rob. Good to see you here, of course, in the gang as always. And Stacy's here for Leaf Whiskey. Check her channel, of course. She is an absolute angel in many ways. Oh goodness. Great to see you. Molasses is in. Hello there, Tim. How are you? Let's see. Um, yeah. So Mike, hope you're doing well. Great to be here. Great to see you. And Andrew, good morning. I definitely want to hear about that Dornoch Castle, the Dornoch Whiskey Festival I know you went to last year. That sounded amazing. Um, this is the other third amigo of in Victoria last year. Me, Terry, and Jennifer having all kinds of fun running through town. Hey friend, I know you've got a lot going on right now. Thanks for being here tonight. Um, Miss you terribly. Hey, Jimmy Jazz is in. Hello, my friend Sanja. I think you've been to a couple of these festivals. It'd be good to hear from you too. And another good morning at 2 a.m. in Scotland, Graham. Glad you're here with us. I know that you are a far veteran of whiskey festivals, so we're gonna look forward to hearing what you have to say as well. Trooper, you're home. You're finally not on a rig in the Gulf of Mexico. Yay. I hope you get some crawfish and some king cake and enjoy. So you got a little Russell's Reserve going tonight. Very nice. Let me know what you all are drinking. I'm about to pour one here and introduce our guest. Bruce is here. Hey, good to see you. And Martin, hey, Slangy, y'all. Hey, buddy. I know you've been to a couple of fun things over there, too, for sure. And Kathy's in tonight. Hello. Great to hear from you and that you're here. I love it. Ian, what time is it? Is it like Ian, tell me what time of day it is in Australia right now. Is it like it's like mid-afternoon, huh? Or is it still morning? I get my times mixed up for sure. Thanks for being here, friend. Oh goodness, and we got Tim is in. Hey, howdy, y'all. Great seeing everybody. So let me know what you're drinking, and we'll get to what I'm going to crack open here in a bit. But so kind of giving you an idea about what we've got going on. I am working on videos like mad. Where did my Word doc go? So I'm working on videos and planning the year out. And we did so much traveling last year that I'm working on a set of videos of how, tips and tricks on traveling in Scotland and doing whiskey trips over there. And the more I get to it, the more gargantuan this thing would be. I mean, it would be like one video would be way too long, more longer than anybody wants to sit and watch. So I'm kind of dissecting some things, and I got to the point of like making a decision, like if you're going to go over there, are you going to go and see distilleries, or are you going to go to a festival? And that even got me thinking, because I think the festivals that we have here in the States, when I learned about whiskey festivals in Scotland, I'm like, we don't have that here. We just don't have that here. Now, granted, we do have whiskey festivals. We have the Louisiana Bourbon Festival. It's a one-day thing. We have some seminars in the morning to the afternoon, and then there's a big tasting that night. That is the general kind of makeup of, I would say, 80 to 90% of what we have in the States. It may be a couple of days. The New Orleans Bourbon Festival, for example, has 2 days of seminars and then some other tasting events. Tales of the Cocktail is pretty extensive, but it's more cocktail bar industry based. It's a whole week long kind of thing. And so the ones that I have been to have mostly been, 1 hour seminar type situations, and then a general grand tasting, until I got to go to Victoria Whiskey Festival. And that was like off the charts, because they were the master class, and you were hearing from the brand people, but it was such an elegant setting, and the pace was just perfect for really enjoying the whiskey. That to me was kind of a next level of a whiskey festival that I had been around. So when you look at that one, kind of seminar, but mainly a tasting event compared to what these things are over in Scotland, and they do have those. That's what the Glasgow Whiskey Festival basically was. Is a tasting event, right? Um, I just there's so many aspects to it to try to figure out. And last year, I really wanted to go to the Campbelltown Festival, and my guest has been a couple of times, and she just knows how to navigate those things. She is an unbelievable traveler. She's learned so much about traveling and how to negotiate um, things when that happen when you are on the road outside of your norm area. And so she's been doing some extensive traveling in Scotland, and she knows whiskey like crazy, and she's continuing to know crazy whiskey because she's an absolute student of it. If there's something to learn, this woman is always there to learn it and absorb it. So I would love to invite you all to welcome my friend Terri Lam on Instagram at unbottling with Terri. Hello, friend.
Hello.
Oh, thank you so much for being on tonight and talking about this. It's going to be a lot of fun. And we'll uh y'all hit me up at Scotch on the Bayou in the comments so I can try to, without my glasses, uh, see what other questions you have as we get through this. But yeah, so I really wanted you to be part of this section of talking about whiskey festivals because you've been there. I have been to the Glasgow Whiskey Festival proper, but I haven't been to these other big ones. And what I call like a multi-day event or a regional festival, because that seems to be kind of how they're organized. Would you kind of say that that's about right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like Speyside has their own region, Shield on Isla, Campbelltown, and I think there's a bunch in the islands, which I haven't hit yet.
Yeah.
Yes, many, many things on my bucket list I still need to get to, but hopefully soon. And yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, Scotland's always calling me. I'm always back, heading back next month already. So yeah, it's exciting.
Uh, you and Jennifer both it's killing me. It's killing me. But we're gonna all live vicariously through you for sure. So let's talk about what the whiskey festival is. I call it a regional whiskey fest. I'm just trying to come up with a way to explain it. And I'll start off with one you just mentioned too, that my first pour. I know you're 2 hours behind us, so you're West Coast. For those, I don't know if Donna is on, and Rick and Donna, they're all my West Coast folks. They're like, yeah, I'm still at work. So I feel you, believe me. So this is going to be my dram, my first dram for tonight for sure. And this is one we picked up this summer. So we were there in Campbelltown about 3 weeks after festival. And I was really happy I was able to snag this, that there was even any left.
Mm.
But this is the 2023 Campbelltown Malts Festival, which is their proper name of it. Limited edition. This is a lightly peated white port cask finish, 11 years old at
Yes.
54.7. Oh,
I
you
just got
have it.
mine. I
Look at
just,
you.
well, so like, I- I'll talk about all my tips later, but
Yeah.
like I was there last year and I just got my bottle back because
Oh, wow.
when you're in North America, you need mules.
Yes, especially in Canada, friend. I hear. Oh,
Anyway, we
so
won't go into that. It's like,
and can we just like fangirl? I just love Glen Scotia's logo with the G and the S. I think it's so elegant.
yeah.
I really do. I love it. And I know, hey, I saw Mark JG is on. Hello, my friend, and he is the Glen Scotia fanboy for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely for sure.
Cool. Very cool.
So let's get this cracked open.
So, what are we starting? You're going to start with that. I don't have mine open yet. I think I will open mine.
Oh, yay!
I'll drink it with you.
Whatever I could do to get people to open bottles.
Oh, well, I was going to say, I know sometimes when I do videos or pictures, I get a lot of slack for like my bottles being on its side.
Yeah.
And FYI, there's only like a sip left in some of these, so no, they're not damaging the cork or anything. So
That's good to know.
I'm not,
It was funny, y'all, because when we got set up, I was like, oh my gosh, that's Keanu Reeves on a pillow. Meet Harry Styles.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, y'all, what can I say? She's my bud.
Synergy, man.
I know, right? I love it when it happens. So, yeah, so these whiskey festivals are usually multiple days, multiple sites, and just talk like the regional ones for sure. For like, say, or the ones based on regions like Speyside, you said. So Spirit of Speyside, they basically sold out of everything in the day, all their tickets and stuff. But some are more organized than others. Something like Fischel over on Isla has a committee, and every distillery is designated a day.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can kind of figure out like what you want to do on what days. They announce when tickets are on sale. Every one of these festivals has got a Facebook group for the most part, or a website. So you can kind of go on and get an idea about what all is entailed. But I would say that there's absolutely no way to do everything at any of these. So you have to kind of pick and choose about what you really want to do to be,
I think it really depends on where the region is and what your stamina is, I guess, and what your goal is. Because like I would say when I first started going to these festivals, it's different than how I go to the festivals today.
Yeah.
Right.
So at first you wanted to see everything, right? I'm guessing.
Yeah. And then you're like, you don't realize how much they're pouring. So, and COVID also changed a lot of things in the way that things were maybe quantity volume wise, or how they sell the ticket. Oh my gosh, my cat, sorry.
Busted up the
place. Always the cats. Go away. So yeah, like COVID changed a lot of things in terms of how you want to prepare yourself to go, because I was going to these festivals pre-COVID, and then I noticed that there was a drastic change in things post-COVID. And that the number one thing I found really difficult to do was find food. So I don't know when we want to talk about food, but we could talk about.
Well, I think we could talk about logistics, because I mean, you get the idea. I think everybody would be sold on to an extent about like going and being able to have all of that at your fingertips. Just a festival with like-minded, enthusiastic people that love whiskey, and every day's a different place. But logistically, if you've been to Isla, it's slim pickings, okay? And especially post-COVID.
Yes.
If you want to eat somewhere, you better get a reservation. Okay, so great. That's normal
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
Amplify that with everybody and their brother coming over, extra ferries going over to Isla, bringing more people.
Yeah.
Lodging is
Yeah.
crazy hard to find.
Yeah. You're
And
booking 2 years in advance right now.
okay, say that again.
You are booking 2 years in advance right now to get to Isla.
Okay.
And
So,
like they've restricted the number of camper vans that can stay, right? Before you could just go.
yeah,
These restrictions, I mean, ferries are constantly breaking down.
right.
Um, there's just lots of logistical challenges
Yeah,
because it's already a challenge today as it is. There's 3,000 residents on Isla, and during festival time, you're adding 20,000 people to the island. So it's
yeah,
just infrastructure wise, it's just not built for that.
right.
Um, yeah. And then if you're camping on the beaches and
Yeah. Are you are you going to stay in a tent? And
hell, no, oh, I'm sorry, not me.
not me. I mean, I've done that before. And my first trip to Isla, I was prepared to sleep in the car, but I went for a music festival that did not have near the attendance. And it was on Jura. So it was a little even more desolate. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's a 2.5 hour ferry ride. It's a puddle jump basically if you take Logan Air over from Glasgow. But once you get there, you got to know where you're going to get around. And if you're partaking, you're not driving,
Well,
you know?
add the limited number of taxi drivers on the island too.
Right.
They are so stinking busy
And
during the
there's no
festival.
Uber folk.
There's no Uber. No, there's no Uber Eats. There's no Uber.
No,
Nothing.
there's no.
No.
So it sounds like we're having a whole lot of negatives here. And it's not necessarily the case. It's really more like go in wide eyes open and saying, okay, know that you have some challenges and it takes a lot of planning. I mean, you hear Terri say you're planning 2 and 3 years ahead of time to make sure that there's a place and that you've got all those logistics. In some places, I would imagine wouldn't even book that far ahead, and you're just gonna have to like swing for the sweet spot on it.
Yeah, or know somebody.
Yeah,
Somebody, right? Yeah.
exactly. This
Um,
smells so good.
are you still on Campbelltown or
Oh
the?
yeah, I haven't had a sip yet. I'm
Oh gosh,
yeah.
I was really close to just taking it swish right out of the bottle, but I thought maybe not for the camera.
Oh, no judging.
No judging.
This
So
is
yeah,
this is I absolutely love port finished whiskey, as Stacy knows, because she was an absolute doll and sent me this lovely Killowen Irish whiskey, and probably butchered that to death. That's a port finish.
mm,
Um, Mark JG actually gave me my first port finish, which was a Kilhoman.
Jennifer Parker asks, pro tips for food and transportation once you're on the island. Oh, okay, so when I travel in general, I always pack protein shakes. I pack protein bars because I don't know where my next meal is going to be and if I'm going to get to it or if I'm
Yeah,
able to get to it. And so just having that in my bag is really helpful. Snacks like, your nuts and trail mixes. Just be smart about it. Pack
yeah,
food and be prepared for, you're not going to have a full on meal unless you've booked far in advance. Yeah, that's what I would do. Transportation wise, oof, that's a really hard one. Actually, funny enough, on Isla for the first time, there I took this tuk tuk
what?
from. Yeah, there's a tuk tuk that you can rent. I can't. It's Isla Tuk Tuks, I think. The guy is such a sweetheart. I took a picture with him. Anyway, yeah, they'll give you their phone number and you can call and book in advance and reserve them and such. Some of the larger vehicles, I think they're already pre-booked, and and to take larger parties. So if you can
Yeah.
share that cost, of course, that makes it easier.
Yeah.
Um,
So there are some shuttles, kind of like a larger, like not quite a bus, but like a um, I don't know, passenger vans but you have to get in on that, right?
yeah,
Like,
well, I mean, like open day. So there's some. Okay, let's go back a bit. So there's open days for certain distilleries, and then on Isla in particular, because they're very well organized. Um, they have certain areas for you to park your vehicle, and then they have a shuttle that'll take you
okay,
up and down. So Bunnahaven, for example, is like
right.
one track road. It like you
Yes.
can't have hundreds of people going up and down, and so
Yeah.
they have buses taking you up
Okay.
and down. So it's very very like it's a well-oiled machine over there during festival. In fact, once you get there, it's just you just enjoy the day and have fun and
Yeah.
come what may, right?
Right.
um yeah, and then there's food there, but the challenges with food is when you're like the lineups can get really really long, and so if you have tickets to master classes or whatnot, you might actually miss that class if you're just standing in line waiting for food. So
Right.
I don't know. Again, food is a big component, and when you're especially when you're drinking that much, you want to
Yes.
make sure you've got something in your stomach.
Yeah. Something that's gonna some good carbs. I particularly we take go to Trader Joe's, and when I go over, I do exactly what you do. I didn't take the protein drinks though, but I have made stops once I got there. But we do those trail mix with the fruit and the nuts. And then we'll kind bars. That's another thing that we'll do, those little bitty ones, just something that can get you going from one place to the other. I
Yeah.
know, they're very limited on is, and we're talking particularly Isla. I think Isla's probably the more touchy case of all of them because there's so many people and so few areas to get sustenance.
Well,
um, you
Campbelltown is
know,
one of those as well, I would
yeah.
say. Yeah. But what I started doing was also packing cheese
Mm,
because cheese and whiskey go together really well.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just such a natural pairing. So, um, a friend of mine actually, when we first started doing the festivals, we were so hungry. We just went and grabbed a big block of cheese, especially because like they've got, what do you call it? The distilleries that have
Oh,
their name
okay.
brands on them, and so we break them up and then just put them in a little Ziploc bag, and then put it in our pocket. And so every time we
Okay.
need something, it's like you're like a little
Yeah.
mouse nibbling
That
on
makes
cheese.
total sense.
Yeah, it helps get you through to the next class.
Yeah. So you might think, oh, well, I'll just go to the grocery store and get something to eat there, or I'll just get something and cook it. And their grocery store is the co-op. There's one in Port Ellen. There's one in Bemore. I don't think there's one in Port Charlotte, huh? I don't think there's a co-op in Port Charlotte.
I don't remember.
Um, Certainly not in Port Ascot. And there's one with limited hours on Jura. At least there was the last time I was there. So in that co-op, everything on that island is getting shipped in. Okay, it's having to come over just like you did.
Yeah,
So folks are having to everybody's going to go there. So there's just limited items to
mhm,
be able to do. So even if you could, if you're on mainland Scotland, get your stuff, be able to get there, and that way if you're driving over, take a collapsible cooler. That's one thing I did my first year was a collapsible cooler. And
mhm,
then I went and got fruit and cheese and meats and things like that, and were able to keep things in a cooler and have snacks during the day. So yeah,
yeah.
um, that's a perfect thing to do. Um, so walk me through a day like at one of the festivals, whether it's Campbelltown. I know you've done that. Have you done Speyside yet?
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay.
So I travel solo, and traveling solo is really challenging in the sense that, like, if you want to try to get around while and you just can't drink and drive, it's just
No,
not possible. There's
not
zero
an option.
tolerance. Yeah, not an option. And so Speyside, like the distilleries are too far apart for me to do on my own.
Right.
Maybe one day when I have friends to do it with. But Campbelltown is walkable. Isla, I've got a friend there, so it's different. And then Oh, you can hitchhike too, I think, if somebody will pick you up.
That might work too.
I
You
don't
never
know
know
if
who
that's
you're going to
legal,
meet.
but
I mean, the odds of, a serial killer on Isla are really low at that point, I would imagine.
everyone's so awesome and so sweet. Yeah,
Oh,
what is it? Yeah, so I haven't done Speyside yet, but I from what I hear, they are changing things to make it easier for people to get around. So that should be
it
coming down the pipeline.
is
Yeah,
Speyside, the area reminds me of the Carolinas and Georgia. It's just like in like almost Blue Ridge Mountain area. It's just rolling hills, even the rhododendrons blooming and everything.
yeah,
Where Isla is just, usually can see where you're going before you get there on Isla.
yeah.
Everything's really wide open. Campbelltown was much more open than I thought terrain wise. But yeah, like you said, you can walk around very easily in Campbelltown for sure.
There's
And
there's
go ahead.
e-bikes too and
Uh,
cycling. If you like to cycle, these are
yeah,
other ways of getting around. Yeah. Mhm.
that's very true. I've got some cycle friends and actually met some cyclists there my first trip over. Um, So Rob says that he's having some Bunnahabhain squash.
Yeah,
Yum.
nice.
We do like our Bunas.
I know
Um,
I have a whole section over there on the other side of my bunker. It's like it's all Isla.
wow. Um, so you've been to every Dornoch Whiskey Festival except 2015. Wow.
I've been to
Either,
Doorknob,
yeah,
yeah, but not
online on those years.
amazing.
That's
I'd
amazing, Andrew. Hmm.
Oh, I want to say hi to the Barflies and the Hip Flask hiking group club, all in
Ah,
Glasgow. Yeah,
awesome.
a big shout out to them.
We know Mr. Bry, who's part of that, and I got to meet his one of his buddies when I was there in Glasgow, for the Glasgow Whiskey Festival. That was in his group. Was at the Bon Accord. I was like, "Would you be Fraser?" um, so Graham is just booked his tickets for 6 days. The Spirit of Speyside, 16 different
Amazing.
events, and that Graham said, "Give us your thoughts on." Especially something like Speyside, like Terry said, everything's kind of spread out. Not kind of, it really is. It's not
Really.
like there's a nice little sidewalk between Ardbeg, Lagavulin, and Lefroy. It truly is really spread out. Not walkable places, like going through like Abelauer and all in, you know, Craigallachie, all that through that area. There's not a really good way to walk that. There's a back way to get from Abelauer to Glenallachie, which is kind of cool, but that's
Mhm.
two things. That's walkable, maybe. It's not going to get you to Glen Grant. It's not going to get you over to Glen Farkless. It's not going to get you to
No.
Cardew. You got to get in a vehicle to get there. So there are car services. When I was there non-festival time, I had a car service that took me to those places. But even there, hopefully they're going to get more of the, shuttle transportation type thing
Yeah.
going.
Yeah. I haven't been to it yet, but love to be there. And
Definitely
haven't
see.
been to a Kaylee yet either, which I'm dying to do.
Ah, well, listen, a
I
Kaylee.
hear the Kaylee's on for the Spirit of Speyside is amazing. That's what I hear.
Ah,
So
I
uh,
I went to one on Jura, and the same 80-year-old woman is the same 80-year-old woman, but Cajun at a fête d'ado, because they're the same thing. That it's the same community get together. The musicians are basically the same.
yeah,
You got an accordion, you got a violin, you got a fiddle, you got a guitar. Yeah, which is in pipes down here. That's all. Um, Ian is saying that the Spirit of Speyside, he's a Scot down in Australia, but there are too many clashes and things running over. This impacted driving on the next event. So timing is that's a big consideration when you're saying, okay, I'm going to book something. That's a great point, Ian, because I want to do this and I want to do that. Well, if one thing runs over, plus you got transportation to get to the next thing, it's a lot of planning. You're not just going to show up and it's not going to be like Jazz Festival. I'll just go to that stage and I'll go over that stage. It's
yeah,
not going to be that. It has to be very well orchestrated, right?
Yeah. I think like your tickets, like when festivals release their schedule, it's really important to just sit down and plan ahead and just figure out where you want to be and then know how long it takes to go from A to B.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty standard.
Yeah.
But you know, also think about like how much you're drinking because like do you want to remember the festival?
Yes. We
I've
talked on
watched
here.
I've seen noobs, like, you always know who the noobs are,
Yeah.
right? And I just, like,
Bless our hearts. Ugh.
feel so bad, but,
Yeah.
I mean, like one of my tips for y'all is to bring little sample packs because I'm very much of a lightweight, and when I go to these festivals, there's no way I'm going to remember. And plus, by then your palate is shot, and you're tasting these amazing whiskeys. So if you want to do it justice, you know, take a little bit home and then do more of an assessment later. But that's if you're
Yeah.
nerding out. Um,
That's a great idea. I wish I would have done that because I was like, well, I have bottles. I'll take some to Glasgow Whiskey Festival, but I was socializing so much that it just really didn't. I didn't get that opportunity. But
yeah.
yeah, that's super. And I did that with most of my tastings this summer and brought half the driver dram. I mean, there were times I wasn't driving, but I wanted the driver drams
Mhm.
so I could bring it home and just kind of like revisit it, and especially for a show or something like that to do and show it with other folks.
Yeah.
So Ian is in Australia. He's asking if you've thought about or wanting to do any of the ones way down.
Yes, yes. I have plans for heading over to Australia. I just can't say right now.
Ah! This is a woman with some big plans, y'all. Um, yeah. So I just want to run through and look.
Mm.
Oh, Tim's going to have this. So tell me what you think about this. The White Port Dram, this festival. Oh,
Okay,
man.
so there's something called heat blind. Have you heard of that?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Well, because I drink so much peated whiskey,
There's quite a few of us that have that.
I find I start to go a little peat blind. And I'm really glad that this is peated because it's so beautifully light and well
Hmm.
integrated into the dram, the spirit. Um, I mean, I'm a little biased. I love Glen Scotia. I think it's probably one of the easiest drinks, and I love Campbelltown. I mean, hands down,
Yes.
that's my jam. And you will find me there every year. It's like, yeah.
Awesome.
Mm,
Yeah. I really like the nose on this. I mean, you get those kind of berry fruits, a little grapey, and I did get the peat, but and I get more of a char smoke on Glen Scotia than like an ashy or a campfire.
Rob Smith, peat blind leading the peat blind.
What do you
Thanks,
say?
Rob. Peat blind leading the peat blind.
Mm, this is true. Well, I'll go willingly though.
Mm,
So Graham says that he did his first day show 25 years ago, and there
mm,
were hundreds of visitors. Now there's 15,000. Too busy. So that brings up a really good point because this was my conundrum last year
mm.
because I wanted to be there.
You gotta come.
That and I had a date with Harry Styles in Edinburgh. So there was that because his concert was the Saturday after the Campbelltown Festival.
Mm,
So I was trying to figure out all those logistics and stuff. If it had been Glasgow, it would have been better, but it was okay. Um, and I think from the purpose of my trip, and that's where I think all this kind of culminates in. If you want, if you have to, a person has to figure out what is successful for their own trip.
mhm.
What are their goals for their trip to Scotland?
Yeah.
Is it going to be just to hit as many distilleries as you can? Is it to go to your favorite distillery? And that's great, but you sure better know whether or not they're open because some aren't open to the public. Some are only open certain times. Some are only open certain times during the festival. So,
Yeah.
for example, Speyside Festival, you get to see Mortlock, you get to see Craig Alecky, uh, you get to see Dalian. You don't get to see those any other time because they're closed, you know. So you really have to find out what is successful for you and
Mhm.
your personality. Is
Yeah.
your personality okay with a lot of people, or would you rather a very small group, you know?
Yeah.
So that's another thing of comfort level. So the purpose of my time this past summer was to really get a foothold on Scotland. So I did a lot of traveling. I mean, from Edinburgh up to Brora, to,
Mhm.
over to Speyside, then down to Glasgow, then all the way up to Skye and Raasay, down to
Yeah.
Oban, oh, well, Mull, Ardnamurchan, Mull, over. We put some miles on that rental car. We
Mhm.
drove one track roads. You gotta do that. But it was really to get an idea of the layout and where I wanted to concentrate my time next time.
Mhm.
And after going to Campbelltown, you know, it was ah, I mean, between the smoked moisture oysters, smoked mussels, the cold smoked salmon, and Ian McAllister, I'm like done. Stick a
But
fork in me, I'm done. I could just like, can you just talk all day long? He's just absolutely
now you're like fanboy, fangirl,
I'm so swoon. I so swoon. I'm like, yeah, unabashedly, unapologetic fangirl.
yeah.
Um, no, he was a dear because I wanted to take his tour, but the way to do the spray bake bottle and bottle, it just wasn't going to work.
Mhm.
And he was sweet enough to come in on his day off to say hello. I
Mhm.
mean, just that's the kind of people you're dealing with, folks. Just really good people. So now
Yes.
take that and turn it up to 11, and you got the festival.
Yeah.
You know,
I would say like it's interesting because like I said, when I first started going, it was, I was going in eyes wide open and you just kind of take it all in and all the mistakes that you make the mistakes, right?
yeah,
You have to know what kind of traveler you are. And things are going to happen. I think in Scotland, everything is so unpredictable, including the weather. It changes every
yeah.
5 minutes, right?
It
Um,
snowed on Spirit of Speyside in May last year.
yeah. Oh my God.
It happened.
So I pack for me, because I'm from the West Coast, I pack all my rain gear and all my like layers upon layers because you just don't know what's going to happen. And you have your backpack and you just, you know, put on something, take something off, doesn't matter, right? Um, and of course your water bottle too, because you need to stay hydrated.
Lots and
Um,
lots of water.
yes. But like the festivals are amazing. And I think at the core of all of this travel, it always comes down to the people, right?
Yes.
It's the people you meet. And I'm not just talking about the people like in the crowds or whatever. It's the people in as the production team.
Yeah.
They're a big part of this community. Get to know the people in the community. They become your friends. They're the
Mhm.
ones that tell you where you should go, where all the nuggets are, and off the beaten track. I mean, but maybe that's not your style of travel, but that is my style of travel.
Right.
And and then when you go back you see them again, and then you forge these relationships, and then you see your global friends that are like everyone's
Mhm.
congregating at the same time. And so
Right.
my draw to go back is because I'm seeing the same people over and over and over, and it's the only time I can see them all in one place at
Yeah.
once,
And
right?
you're sharing something that's so very important to you.
Yes. And it's
I mean, and enjoying it even more because of those people, right?
Yeah, and whiskey is meant to be shared, as we know. And like
Absolutely.
every time people ask you, "What's your favorite whiskey?" Well, it's the one I'm sharing with you right now, right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, do I have a favorite distillery? I can't say that I do because everyone is so unique in in its experience, and yeah, it's so magical. I can't even explain. All I can say is you just got to go, right? But plan it, because logistically there's going to be challenges. Know that things will go wrong.
Yeah.
Know that there's strikes that could happen at any moment. I mean, gosh, the trains went down. I mean, I was stuck for 40 hours in 3 different airports while there was a snowstorm. It just, you just don't know what's going to
Yeah.
happen. And
You got to
so
roll with it. Like,
roll
I
with it.
mean,
Exactly.
everybody knows my bag was lost for a week of my 3 weeks in Scotland last year.
Yeah.
You have to make a decision. Is this going to ruin my time, or am I just going to like find some some freshener and, do some rinsing in the evenings and can call it good and just
Yeah.
keep going? And you do. You just keep going.
And whiskey makes it all better anyway.
It really does. It really does. Are you really going to worry about what you were wearing? Are you, when you really are in a point where you're excited about who you're with, who you're sharing drams with, what you're learning about that experience? You were talking about the strikes, the train strikes, rail strikes. I know ferries are a big deal.
Berries.
If you want to go to Tobermory, if you want to go to Ardnamurchan, unless you want to go down to a single track road. Oof.
I love the single track roads. Those are so
They,
fun.
yeah, they
Yes.
can be.
Okay, I would say, as a North American, I mean, I don't care how comfortable you are driving stick shift, just book the automatic. It will be,
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
just do it.
And I will say the single track roads on Isla were much more manageable than the one at Ardnamurchan and in Campbelltown. If you've got sat nav, great. I'm glad for you. Still look at where it's taking you, because sometimes it will take you off of the normal road and take you on the east coast of the Kintyre Peninsula to where you see Erin all the way down on what once was a Roman trail. And your husband is white knuckling the dashboard, about to go into a novena at any moment.
Yeah,
I think there for a couple of times
yeah.
between that and the blue BMW we almost hit. So, I'm just saying, know where you're going before you get there, because the road on the west coast of the Kintyre Peninsula, getting down to Campbelltown, is a hell of a lot better.
Mhm.
Lot better. Yeah. So,
Oh, Graham says bring an umbrella to Scotland. No, I wouldn't. I would disagree to that, because it gets so windy.
yeah, it'll be
Lose
gone.
your umbrella.
Rain
I
jacket,
like rain jacket. Yeah.
big hood. Yeah. Um, Gregor, hey friend, don't forget to pack some of
Oh,
that
so
high speed internet in your case.
internet. I have a big tip for you guys if you don't have, like, so in regards to internet, and that is, I didn't realize that so I used to work for telecom mobility, and I didn't realize in the UK, with all the different brands that you have, they don't talk to each other. So in certain areas, certain brands work better than the others. There's EE, and then there's like O2 or whatever.
Right.
Um, if you're in Speyside, one works better than the other. So
That
there's
is
certain
correct.
classes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I mean, you could buy both, or you can just make sure, if you're traveling with 2 people, buy one each.
Yeah.
Um,
Are you talking
and
about
then
the SIM card or whatever that's on that
SIM
network
cards.
card? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Got you.
yeah,
Yeah, that was I hit some real dead air, so to speak, a couple
yeah,
times for
yeah,
sure.
definitely.
Um, that's really funny. That's hilarious.
Ooh. Oh,
Um,
also, I know North Americans, you guys love your coffee. I love my coffee.
mm,
That's a hard one to find, FYI.
I haven't had instant coffee since I was a kid when my papa would make it, and it was like those crystals that he would put in his hot water, which was fine for if I was like 8. But oof, yeah, it's taken me a while to go, for sure.
Yeah, they're big tea drinkers over there, right? So,
And I started to learn to drink tea because of that, but I
mm,
mainly only drink hot tea during the winter. We drink
mm,
lots of iced tea down here. Um,
I had
What
a
are
friend who I traveled with, and so I don't know how to say molasses,
molasses? Yeah.
talking about the AeroPress. And yes, 100% AeroPress, because if he didn't have his coffee, he was cranky. And here's the thing, not everything is open. The cafes are not open when you want
No,
it. So your
no.
AeroPress, 100%.
Well, and
Yes.
I will tell you too, if you can take yourself a pour over, Jennifer here made a convert out of me with you got the electric kettle. They're going to have that. And if you take your own coffee and filters and a lightweight pour over that sits on top of your cup, that's a hell of a way to have really good coffee. we we've had that. We did that. Hell, we did that in Victoria. I think I want to say we did that then too. Um, it's really pretty
Yes.
funny. Um,
Yes.
I am so woefully behind on the comments, y'all. Thanks so much for doing that. Yes, Ian, that east side. Whew, I I was I was driving, but I was still taking peeks of Aaron, and I was dumbfounded at how rugged and raw Aaron looks. It is just it's like this volcano kind of rock. It was amazing. I can't wait to get there. I had that planned on my trip. So that's
Mm,
another part. Just really understanding what logistically is feasible and then pulling it back. Kill some of those darlings, if you will, because you want to really enjoy this. You want to be able to not be completely exhausted.
mm.
There's so much to these places that aren't necessarily whiskey. There are cultural things around. There
That
are,
is,
events. There are Highland games, and there are, the Cayley. There are castles. Oh my, there you want to play golf. There are lots of places to play golf in Scotland because they kind of invented the thing,
yes.
So there's so much more to the country than just the whiskey.
Yeah. A
A
lot
lot
of
of
history, right?
yes, lots
Yeah.
and lots of history.
Mhm.
Um, and a lot of it has influenced the United States because there were so many Scots that came over, Scots and Irish that came over into the middle East Coast, the Carolinas, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, that area.
Mhm.
I mean, that's where part of my folks are from the Carolinas, and they came over into Tennessee. So um, it's neat to be able to see that over there. Tim is recommending the EE SIM
Mhm.
card for his sky trip.
I use
Been
EE.
advised.
Yep.
That's good.
EE has been solid for me. So
So
highly.
in that respect, so if you get that, then you're on that network, um, and you're not on your roaming or your own normal plan, right?
Oh, Canada's data network is so stinking expensive that I
Mm,
shut it off and I
okay.
use purely SIM cards and WhatsApp. They use WhatsApp a lot. So,
Yes.
for
WhatsApp's
making phone
awesome.
calls, yeah, the Wi-Fi is virtually unlimited, whereas we have caps on how
Mm,
much data we use. In fact, America has it better than Canada does. So, yeah.
yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
And you just order is it one of the virtual SIM cards or the actual physical ones?
I've tried virtual before, and I've traveled like all over the world with my virtual, and it sucks. So,
Yes. I did not
um,
have a good experience with that this summer.
no, no. So I travel. Actually, I have a little pack of SIM cards.
Okay.
It's like, which country am I in now? um, um,
Pick a SIM card, any SIM card.
but I usually, you know what? I can't be bothered. I will just pick it up at the airport before I exit, and
Okay.
otherwise you're left scrambling. Yeah, it might be like 50 or $20 cheaper elsewhere, but whatever. Who cares?
Yeah.
It's just time. It's
It's
always
not a
about time.
$400, bill when you get home.
Yeah, 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 for sure.
You know how much
Uh,
whiskey that is?
oh my
My
God.
God.
Yeah. So travel wise, like I also travel with bubble wrap.
Yes. Those are
because you
amazing.
never know what you're gonna buy. And
I will put my clothes in those.
yes, me
Yeah.
too.
Put your
Socks.
clothes, toiletry, whatever you got to, and then you pull all that out
Yeah,
and put your bottles in.
yeah, 100%. I've heard some people um booking out lockers so that, if they buy too much, they just store it in there. They squirrel it away until they get back, and then they bring.
Oh wow.
Yeah, there's lots of tips and tricks. Airlines have caps on how much you can bring, so it might not necessarily be how much you can bring in terms of um, duties, customs and
Yeah.
duty clearances, but like, I mean, there's just so many other little restrictions. You just got to be aware of it, and depending on where you live, will be different
Yes.
restrictions, and your port of entry will be your taxes and stuff like that. So yeah, I got a serious problem, I think. It's just, yeah.
I don't want to know how many you still have over there that you're
No, I'm not
trying to
gonna
get over.
say.
Oh goodness.
Yeah.
Man.
How much time
So
do we have left? Five,
Andrew,
five.
just a little bit. Andrew's talking about he did with 2 trips he's done with designated drivers
Mm,
and who would visit, art galleries and museums while you did your thing,
mm,
and then you both like a castle. So that's a win-win
yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
Um,
There's actually lots of people over there that do tours. Like they'll take you
yeah.
around, locals. I mean, um, there's a guy, I can't remember his name, but he's like in a tartan. He's got this massive following on Instagram. Um, I think his name is Andrew. I don't know. There's so many Andrews,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
he takes people around and does all these cultural history tours, and it's so cool.
Yeah.
Um, North America is still a baby compared to Europe, right?
Very
And
much so.
um,
Yeah.
like, I mean, I'm on the West Coast, so everything, and Canada is what, like 150 years old. It's tiny. We're
Right.
babies. And then I'm looking at some of these homes, and they're like 150 years old with like bullet holes in them from the war. And, I mean, just it's crazy.
Yeah.
So there's so much history. Get to know the locals. It's really
Yeah.
cool listening to their stories, and the friendships that you get out of there is just, it's invaluable.
You're
I
gonna
mean,
get out of it what you put in it, you
yes,
know?
that is true. That is
You
true.
really will. And everybody's coming to the table of being excited about there. You may have an outlier walk past them and go find your other people.
That's okay.
There's one in every crowd. We know.
There's something for everybody. That's
Yeah.
the thing, right? You
Yeah.
travel the way you want to. It's
Yeah.
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. And I loved how, like Rob said, put your bottles in and leave your clothes. And
I left my
he's like,
clothes in
yeah, but don't
Scotland.
take your favorite
Actually,
clothes.
I did have to message my friend and say, "Can you remind me what clothes I have?"
And then Rob's like, I'll take my cheap clothes. I mean, that's really pretty funny because we left 2 pair of shoes of Marks this summer
Mm,
to get bottles home. So, you know.
yes. I actually okay, so if you don't know, you can bring these um laundry detergent that's like paper.
Yeah, the little fabric, like it's like almost like feels like fabric. Yeah.
Feels like fabric. I pack those, and I only pack a week's worth of clothing, and I wash my clothes almost
Mhm.
every day and just hang them wherever I'm staying. And that way I pack my little suitcase in my big suitcase. I mean, when I say you need to plan this, you need to plan this.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a believer because I put 2 days of clothes in my carry-on and everything else went in the bag that got lost,
Oh,
including the whiskey I was taking over there for people. And, it's just like at least I had 2 days of clothes. Like I had 2 changes of clothes, on that. But still, yeah, it just and lighter weight stuff and you layer, I mean, you don't have to take I, I've I've never taken a big bulky coat and I've gone most of the time I go is in the, kind of in the off season, not in the middle of the summer. Um, Andrew was even talking about going up to there and right during midgie season. And that's a big,
Oh, oh my
midgies are
God.
something.
That's a whole nother story. I'm allergic to bugs, like, I
Ah,
mean, bug bites as it is, but midgies, oh my God, that's a whole nother
yeah.
story.
I mean, midgies are like thick mosquitoes. They- they're like they got some stuff going on. I mean, they're almost like a little fly kind of thing. But I was like, this is a
Oh,
substantial little insect. It wasn't like a kind of spindly. We're used to mosquitoes, they're all just like
yeah.
legs and
At least you can see them and you can, like,
yeah.
kill it, right? But
But I'm going to tell
I
you, if you go and you do a distillery tour and the still house is open, the midgies come in for the carbon dioxide.
oh
It's
my
like,
God. Oh,
I'm like, oh, I love your
which is
still.
why you will
God, what are
rarely
these
see me
things?
there in June, because like,
Yeah.
that's when they are. Or you know what? Maybe they need to create these, like, portable fans because they don't like
Yeah, they don't
air.
like air moving. That's right. You could those things you put around your neck. We have those down here because it's so freaking hot, you
I
know?
bought one of those for Panama, yeah.
You know what I'm talking
I
about?
that might be a good idea. I will be that weirdo with a fan.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, this
know.
is great. Graham, so, seek out some of the better local whiskey travel guides for Scotland too.
Mhm.
So, the individual places and don't be afraid to ask. I'm gonna tell you, you would be surprised um how nice locals are there.
Yeah.
I've this accent has gotten me more more access to things because it's clearly I'm not from there and just I I could use some help. I could use your could you give me some advice, friend, on what I need to be doing or where I need to be going. um so yeah. Mm.
Yeah. You're lucky. I don't get that same treatment. Nope.
Oh, I love Gregor's like, pack a bag in a bag. I feel seen. Terry knows her stuff. Absolutely. She is a professional, that's for sure. So yeah,
Oh,
so I hope that gives you a kind of an idea, that these events are just that. They're very well planned out on the organization side of it. I think Speyside is more kind of amoeba out kind of out there, but I seem to think that they're kind of this year they were more, I think, organized as far as listing all the programs. Before it was like that group's going to have some stuff and this group's going to have, and you had to kind of pick and choose, or even try to find who was organizing stuff. Now
yeah.
it's kind of all together.
Yeah.
Um, the just really figuring out what it was, and maybe if you do that and you're not big on crowds, do a little bit of it and then go do some other stuff. So you kind of have to figure out again, what are you trying to get accomplished? Do you want to just be there and not have a lot of people around you and soak up you know warehouse number 9 at Bunnahabhain, or do you want to be there at when Bunnahabhain is buzzing like a beehive? So it kind of depends. Both are awesome. There's nothing wrong with either one, but
Mhm.
there are challenges and considerations for both of those scenarios for
Yeah,
sure.
I agree. Yeah. Just know what you want and expect the unexpected. And the unexpected is actually a blessing in disguise. I
It
mean,
is.
when you don't know what's happening, it's always like somebody will come and talk to you. And
Yep.
yeah, those friendships are just incredible. So I don't know.
Yep.
Just go with the flow. Just go with the flow.
Go with the flow. Don't let it roll over you. With sat nav, I still got lost on the
Mhm.
northwest coast of Isla. I pulled over. I was looking at my map. I thought I saw somewhere on the map, like a real map. I had sat nav, but still, it said, "Oh, there's some standing stones over there." It's like, "Oh, I'll go see the standing stones." I didn't find the standing stones. I found a horse and some sheep, and um, the old World War II battery embankments
Uh-huh.
that were the lookouts of the northwest side of Scotland.
I mean,
um, and I walked down, and there was Moncure Bay.
Mm.
I found the Marquet, and it was like,
Amazing.
oh my gosh, I just sat there and just the water coming in and the waves crashing, and it was like, let the happy accidents happen,
Yeah.
the serendipity, the happenstance, and you're going to have all this experience that you wouldn't have had if everything was regimented and everything planned out to the nines, and you
Yeah.
couldn't even take a breath because you
I
had to
have
be
one
somewhere else.
I have one more thing,
Yes.
and in case people don't know this, there is the right to roam in Scotland. Unlike
Yes.
America, there is the right to roam, and that is the most beautiful thing I can
Yes.
imagine. Um,
Which
like,
means even though it's maybe private land, you can go on it. You can do no harm,
yeah.
but you can get, walk through it, access to it. Yeah.
Yes, and that's sometimes where the accidental discoveries happen. So just allow whatever to happen. It's such a beautiful thing, and
It
there's
is.
no crazy animal that's going to kill you because, like, here we've got
They don't
cougars
have them.
and wolves
There's
and
no
bears,
bears. I mean,
moose.
they have a lot of geese, man. There's and a lot of sheep and hairy coos. Um, I just, I can remember, driving up in the tip of sky, and you come this huge standing stone, right by the road, and there's a cow that's literally rubbing. I'm like, this thing is Neolithic monument. Like it should have a velvet rope all the way around it, and this heifer is literally just rolling up on it. And I'm like, well, that's pretty cool. And,
Yeah.
and then a little bit further down, I found the ruins of an old church. And I got out of the car and I just went over and plopped through, another sheep field to get to it. And I'm standing there and I'm looking at that piece of stone at the threshold,
Mhm.
and there's no roof on it, and there's just really three sides, and there's one opening where the window was, where you just look off into the to the sea, and you just think, who are the people here before me, who are the people that came to this place of worship and that lived on this island. And it just it gives you a moment to reflect and be within yourself and be able to absorb all that Scotland has, and not just what's in here. This is spectacular stuff. Don't get me wrong. Kind of
But
like it.
Scotland is magical,
It
is
really is.
the only way I can put it. It's very like healing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh goodness. Y'all, we could go on for a while, but we're gonna wrap it up here. Terry, I'm gonna thank you, and if you could stick around at the end here for a little bit, for sure. And we'll wrap up in a second. But thank you so very, very much. You said you were about to go again in March. You want to tell us more about what you're doing, and kind of why you're the student of whiskey, and why this is so important to you?
Yeah. Well, my last name's Lam, and in Chinese characters, it's written as two trees.
Mm,
And a lot of this kind of came full circle for me in my journey in learning is that I love wood maturation. And so the forest and the wood all kind of came together. And I'd been searching for a long time on how I can participate in this industry. And so, yeah, I'm starting my own business, and it's taken
awesome.
me back to Scotland again. I'm just really excited, but nothing to really say right now yet.
That's
But I'm
okay.
sure something amazing will happen.
Excuse
Yeah.
me. That water, no, the whiskey didn't go down the wrong way. The water did. um. So that's so that's goes. So you're going to be over for a couple more, like a couple weeks this time.
A few weeks, yeah, yeah, and
Cool.
meeting up with my mentors and just yeah,
Following your
just
passion. That's what I
following
love.
my passion. Yes,
Following the
exactly.
passion.
And
So
seeing friends again, and yeah,
so be
sharing
sure
with friends.
to follow her on Instagram. The woman is the queen of reels. If I could just like rub your head to get an nth of osmosis off of you to be able to figure out how to do that. I would be so happy. But she just makes everything so much fun. So check her out on Instagram for sure, and you can live vicariously through her time over in Scotland. But thanks, friend. I appreciate you being here. I'll be with you in a minute. Okay. Y'all, I mean, I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. There's so much to consider when doing and going over in the first place, much less when you're going over for a whiskey festival. So, thanks again so much for joining us tonight and all the great advice. Like I said, I'm working on this series of videos and kind of an overall thing that will do tips and tricks, and then really drilling down into understanding transportation, understanding where to stay, understanding how to book your experiences and tastings and things like that. So, thanks again, everybody. Next week, next Tuesday is Fat Tuesday. It is Mardi Gras. Yeah? So, and it's the day before Valentine's Day. So, we've kind of played with Mardi Gras and done that in previous years. So we're going to be doing a chocolate and whiskey pairings, different kind of whiskeys with different types of chocolate. Have a little bit of indulgence before Lent starts, and I hope I see you all again next week as part of this fun time that we have together. And until then, I'm going to finish off this lovely Glen Scotia lightly peated port. Yum. And I'll see you later, guys. Sanji, y'all.